All right. Well, hello. Welcome, everybody, on this call today here live from Dubai. My name is Claudia Eifert. With me, I have the founder and CEO, Bill Rowell, as well on the call, which is really great. And we have the investment banker, our head of investments, Danish Rizvi, head of strategy of the development in CASHETS. He's going to give the presentation today about CASHETS, what CASHETS is, how Infinity World works. He has an amazing experience, around 25 years of experience as an investment banker, highly successful, especially here in the Middle East region. Mr. Danish is going to give you in a very short a few seconds a little bit of overview about where he comes from, his background, because it's really quite impressive. And I'm really happy that we have him here today because the whole concept of CASHETS, which we have been put together, a lot comes of his intelligence and brain and long experience, of course, in the investment banking sector to really provide you a great yield through that amazing system, which we have just pre-launched here in the Utopian Global Platform. So with that, I don't want to make it more longer. I hope that you're all going to enjoy this call, because there will be some really great jaw-dropping moments when Danish is giving the presentation today, and certainly a lot to be learned from that. So Danish, great pleasure to have you here, and we are all looking always forward, because every time we listen to you, we learn. I mean, for myself, every time I learn new things I didn't know before. So it's a really great honor for me to have you here on the call, and hopefully everybody is enjoying this presentation. And go ahead, you can, I believe I'm enabled you can share your screen and give us a great overview about CASHETS.
Well, thank you so much, Claudia. Good day to everyone, and I hope everyone is in the best of health. I mean, Claudia just told me to give a little introduction. I was just jumping on to the introduction of CASHETS, but yeah, my experience is more than 25 years in investment banking and commercial banking. I think banking in all sorts of all fields apart from consumer. Been into actually a lot of mandates in investment banking, asset management, wealth management, mergers and acquisitions. But not only that, I've been actually also involved with logistics and trades for bulk shipments and different commodities. So, I mean, I think you can find my profile online as well. So just want to jump on to the presentation itself. Just let me share the second, my screen. I hope everybody can see that. Okay. So I'm sure most of you have already been through the Utopian Global Platform and been through some of our presentations, as Claudia has been giving them, and hopefully started investing as well. Well, today talk is basically to discuss CASHETS in detail as an investment instrument, which operates on the Infinity Vault on our Utopian Global Platform. So just to give a little brief, CASHETS is an ERC20 token, which allows you to take exposure and earn real income from real assets. But it is not like most of the tokens and opportunities out there. We will go deeper understanding how it is so. But before we start, do remember to read, just a second. Yeah, just do remember to read all the disclaimers on all the marketing materials, the white paper, and the prospectus, as to understand CASHETS, its strategies, outcomes, and risks relating to the purchase of the CASHETS. Now, CASHETS is stable, secured, and provides strong financial returns. How so? Let me start. So it's stable as its price is not volatile. The price is 10 cents on euro and is designed to remain the same. It is secured because it is backed by real physical assets, which gives it security of not losing the capital entirely. It provides strong returns through the strategies that we have employed, which we'll be discussing in a while, which makes the rollovers high and tries to capitalize on the value of escalation through transformation, which we will discuss in a while too. Well, CASHETS is a legal digital instrument that provides a right to its holders to earn from the actual trade of physical assets. Um, and just not simple vanilla trading, but actually tapping into this trade with more strategic angle to take exposure in the value chain. It is important to understand that there are a variety of assets out there that we come across from time to time. Remember that these have to be categorized into few types of assets. One is financial assets, one is virtual assets, and one is physical or real assets. All of them have their share of pros and cons. Our objectives under CASHETS is to capture the value through real assets, which one way or the other forms the backbone of all the other assets. So what exactly are real assets? By its definition, is quite simple. These are physical assets that have an intrinsic value due to their substance and properties. Real assets have an inherent physical worth. It could be less or more, but there is some value attached to it at all times. So most of the real assets that are used as an asset class in the financial world are like commercial and residential and real estate, natural resources like oil and gas, timber, agriculture, solar, commodities, infrastructure, airports, telecommunication. So, I mean, the list goes on. And I'm sure that most people, I mean, some people have invested or have gotten the option of investing it. But how CASHETS is different, it's from other opportunities, we need to understand that. So the ownership of buying equities is an option that people provide on different tokens out there. CASHETS is unique in the sense that we do not believe in taking over the business risks that companies and part of their operating costs and marketing costs. We basically take the ownership of the actual assets, just like a weight like tonnage or space like square meters and so on. What makes CASHETS further unique is the fact that it has been crafted and designed to capture the transformational DNA of the world we live in. CASHET's main objective is not only to tap into these physical assets, but capitalize on the transformation of these assets through various stages of their life cycle. So transformation, for us to understand when we're tapping in transformation basically happens in three forms. One is in space, in time, and third is form. It could be in a combination of any two or even three. So in space, just for you to understand, when we say it's in space, which means that value increases when a product can be moved from one point to another. Like example could be fruits and vegetables that we consume every day would have a higher value in another country compared to where they were grown. In time means when the value of a product increases when it is in storage for some time. For example, we're reaching to Christmas time. Christmas items around the world are normally produced in the months of March and August, till August, I would say. But these values are much more in December when their demand is high. Once the demand is over, the value goes down as well. In form, when we say transformation in form, which basically means the value increases for a product when some sort of processing is done. A simple example would be the value of a wood increases when it is carved into a chair or some sort of handicraft. So the value is captured by many organizations and individuals along the way. With a change of hands and of these products, what CASHET does is basically it takes exposure of these assets in the early stages of their value chain and exits at a progress stage. So basically what we're doing over here in CASHETS is entering into the exposure of an asset at an early stage of transformation and exiting at a later stage of its development or processing or time. So CASHETS further understands how the world is evolving and want to capture the value much more by tapping into these trends. Now, these trends are basically divided under CASHETS into two categories. One is the necessities, and one is basically the innovations. When we say necessities, I mean, you can imagine that what is the increasing demand for homes, food, and clothing when every year around 80 million people increase in the world's population. Similarly, if you see the innovations, we come across this every time, every day. When we're looking at the innovations of our lifestyles being changed from, like, for example, the biggest example would be 78% of the people in the world basically use smartphones today. which is around roughly more than 6 billion people in this planet, which has given rise to different apps today, which we use. And many things have evolved by that with that innovation. But what else is happening? What else is happening and what we can expect is basically looking at these things which is happening. Like, for example, the microchip-based technologies, renewable energy, electric cars, drone-based surveillance and deliveries is around the corner. Space travel, I'm sure people are following those news as well. All of these are being captured under CASHETS as well. And why is these innovations important? If most people are following this, smart cities are being developed around the world, which is basically an endorsement of these innovations and the requirement of our daily lives into these innovations. There is now a smart city index with 102 cities on it. But the most important thing is these 6 technologies, which you can see on your screen right now. 4 of them requires critical physical assets and real assets and products to make them possible. And a few examples of would be like these: lithium, quartz, silver, vanadium, and these products are being covered in CASHETS. But not only that, on the necessity side, food and real estate as well. Our current investment target is basically few of these, which have been actually sourced and analyzed and then specifically selected. I mean, we have a funnel through which basically we receive more than 100 opportunities and deals every 1 to 2 months. And after due diligence and research, we basically select the best of them. Some of them which are mentioned, which is basically the target market for under CASHETS right now, immediately, is high purity quartz production in Europe, vanadium and silver production in North Africa, is real estate residential development in Middle East and Asia, low cost housing development in Middle East and Africa, frozen food supply in North America and Europe, cobalt and copper production in North Africa, ethanol production in Middle East, and petrochemical production in the Middle East. So our investment execution basically happens, as I mentioned, through different processes. So from pre-production, pre-process, proven reserves, underdeveloped. This is the first stage of any mineral. These minerals and metals are underground, which basically are proven reserves, but have not been developed and are not been processed. We basically take the exposure of these at that level. We take the ownership of these assets in part of these assets, and then be a part of this journey in terms of exiting at a level of maybe extraction, separation, initial processing, or maybe processing, refining, development, construction. Or it could be even the last stage where the finishing happens and the packaging is done, or the logistics and value addition happens. So these are the few ways that we basically kind of tap into the valuation and execution of these projects. As far as the investment process is concerned, it's quite actually deep, properly defined, actually designed, and it actually is covers the objective of buying the asset at an early stage and exiting at the later stage, as I mentioned. It's a diligent investment process, starting from the sourcing funnel, where basically many deals and opportunities are collected from many sources. Then there's some processes basically defining that. These deals are then screened based on the parameters that define CASHETS, such as making sure the reserves are there, or the pre-existing sales are there, viability or importance of these products are measured. From there, the shortlisting is conducted based on the viability and strength of the projects itself, apart from the product. And we see the backing of the companies, we see the products, the jurisdiction they're operating in. We do in-depth research of that. And then once the projects are finalized, we look into the sponsors, the project process timings, or the technicalities. Once those shortlisted deals are finalized, we move on to the investment committee, where basically these are assessed and discussed among the investment committee and moved on to the shortlisting under the due diligence process, where we see the legalities and permissions of these projects. Then it passes to the structuring and negotiation, obviously looking into the security and acceptable margins of these investments. Then the legal contracts are drawn, oversight begins, and this oversight continues till the last stage. But once the oversight begins, we actually get into the purchase of these assets at that time, depending on the amount and the volume that we're actually buying. And then later on, or after the holding period, the sale executed. The holding period is basically a predefined period, which actually follows under the contracts that we have. So there are variety of assets with different timeframes, different geographical locations. So to cover that, it actually follows a matrix to make sure that the diversification happens. So we are basically catering to the diversification in terms of geography, the type of assets, and the type of basically the strategy that we will be forming. So there are basically 5 different strategies through which CASHETS operate, under which we have different allocations, which is production procurements income strategy, development procurement income strategy, transit trade income strategy, amortized structured income strategy, and hybrid opportunistic income strategy. Let me explain these strategies to you. So the first one, which is the production procurement strategy, is 6 to 18 months investment linked to a price appreciation of 4 categories of pre-production to production and pre-processing and pre-manufacturing to the manufactured stage. The commodities, underlying assets, we can see over there as minerals, metals, F&B, and industrial materials. Development is very similar to the production. But it's a 4 to 24 months, and it's linked to the price appreciation as well. And over here, we cover the renewables, technology, real estate, and construction. Transit trade is quite different from this. It's basically more short term. It's 15 days to 6 months. Investment linked to the price appreciation through the transit time, and the supply partnership with 4 categories of assets: commodities, F&B, raw materials, and electronics. Amortized structured income strategy is not a priority among these strategies, but it actually follows a cost plus investment structure, where actually the asset is purchased and sold to the buyer on a payment deferred on different payments, or a single bullet payment at the end. Last but not least is the hybrid opportunistic income strategy, which is a month to 18 months investment linked to the price appreciation of assets procured at a early stage of its life cycle, and then allowing opportunities and exceptional risk and exceptional rewards and a quick turnaround. These strategies is basically designed in such a way that because of the different timelines, the cash flow is turned around a few times within the year, and the target returns we have estimated is between 25 to 35%. And that's why we have given an average return as the APY on the token as 30%. These are few characteristics, edges that CASHETS has. It is market resilient because, again, it is dependent on the real assets, executable projects, because these projects are up and ready. Single agile vehicle, you're basically guiding diversification into different products through one single token, which is CASHETS. It is backed by the physical assets, but then again, you have the cashability, which normally other tokens do not have, through the Infinity Vault, which will come back later. And from there, we actually get the liquidity as well. And we have the leadership expertise on this entire thing. So after this, we have a few of the things that we actually try to capture over here is the value creation through the processes, capital and scale, proprietary, which is basically, this is the only offered on Utopian global platform, and then the expertise of the people that we have here. Details of the offering: it's a token, which is basically called CASHETS. Everybody knows that. ERC20 Ethereum is at a fixed supply with a soft cap of 5 million euros. The price is, as I mentioned in the beginning, was 10 cents, and the total supply is 350 million digital instruments, which is CASHETS. The accepted currency is Bitcoin, Litecoin, Euro, and USD through the Utopian platform. And the use of funds is basically 83.3%, which is majority of it goes into the investment. Legal compliance take 3%, and tech is 5.3%, with operations at 8.4%. So all of this is basically give the details of the offering of the CASHETS. A slight look into the future outlook. We are doing at the moment, this is the first phase which we are performing, which is the successful fundraise, hopefully. We are already getting the investments under the CASHETS. There will be other assets we'll be looking into. As I said, that there's a process of many investment and opportunities coming to us. We will be adding 3 different hedging strategies to actually cater the inflation in some of the countries. Like, for example, there are emerging markets and the currency fluctuations happen. We need to hedge that. And that's what we will be adding to that. There will be 2 long strategies to actually cater to the value appreciation, because up till now, all the strategies are within a year or a half, 1.5 years. There will be fixed income strategies additionally. And then, as it's mentioned over here, 150 projects have been assessed up till now, and further will be processed. This token is not available on the secondary market, but we do plan to do that. So it will provide further liquidity for people to actually cash out and whenever they want to in different exchanges. And at that time, we will, or there's a possibility that the value of the token will also increase apart from the yield that you are actually getting on this. Then moving on to the most important part, we definitely have crafted the entire CASHETS program dependent on the real assets and the real projects with our partners and the basic projects which are coming in. But Infinity Vault is a facility that basically Utopian Global is providing it to members to actually cash out. So the biggest problem that we faced when we were designing the token was everybody out there gets stuck in when they actually invest into tokens, either by the end of the year to actually get the yields, or basically they cannot exit until there is no secondary market. So what we've done is we have used Utopian Global as to buy out the position of the investors at any time that the investors want to exit. If the investor stays up to 365 days, which is 1 year, they actually get the 30% and they can continue on the Infinity Vault. Or if they want to exit in 30 days, 90 days, 180 days, or even any time before, they can do that. The only difference is that when they're doing it, it is a lesser yield than it would have been in a 1 year. Maybe this will help you understand this graph on the top, where we see that analyzed, if you are exiting, so if you're exiting within a month, you just get the principal back, you do not earn anything. But if you actually, under 3 programs, we have the premium yield program, and the affiliate program carries the same percentage return on your investments. But on the standard yield, it is lesser. So in the standard yield, if you're actually exiting in after 1 month of time, so how many months you stay over there for 1 or 2, you basically get 0.45%, which is annualized for 5.4, compared to a premium yield, which is 0.6 and 7.2 annualized. Similarly, with after 3 months is 0.63 per month, 1.08 per month in premium yield. Annualized 7.5 and 12.96 annualized as premium. In 6 months, if you're exiting after 6 months, maybe your 7th month, 8th month, 9th month, you're basically getting a yield on how many months you basically was in Infinity Vault was basically 0.96% applicable on each month, if it's a standard yield. And if it's for premium yield, it's 1.9. And as I mentioned, 12 months, basically, if you're a premium yield, you get 30% annualized, which is 2.5% per month. And if it is standard yield, it's 17.04, which is 1.42% per month. Under the table, basically, we can see an investment hypothesis. It's just, I don't know, everybody has their own capacity of investment, but I just took an example of 10,000 euros being invested by someone. It's easier to remember. So if someone actually exits at 3 months, in standard yields gets 324, in a standard, 189, and premium yield gets 324 on a 10,000 capital invested. In 6 months, it's 1,140. For standard yield, it's 576. And if you actually are able to complete 12 months, is basically 30% per annum, which is basically 3,000 euros on 10,000 euros investment. And if it's a standard yield, it's 1,704, which is 17.04% per annum. It's quite simple to understand. And basically, you have a calculator on the Utopian Global platform. You can calculate according to your own investment amount that you will be putting in. So the most important thing is to understand the key highlights of this token. it is asset backed, it is real assets, it's not virtual, and it's not financial. And that is the reason you are able to get higher returns, because it is real assets, and we are able to cater into actually tap into the transformation. We're basically able to get a higher returns, and we're doing a loop overs for this for our investments again and again, which actually gives us a higher investment returns as well. This is a reinvestment, so cashable, as I mentioned, it's through the Infinity Vault. Multi-use is basically, I think Claudia must have mentioned in her presentations, that if the Cashet token is not active and it is not yielding, you can do that and then use it for multi-use, which is basically buying in the package or buying your gold or silver on the platform. And there will be other products which will be coming on the platform, and you will be able to buy through the same Cashets, and you do not have to convert back into any other currency. And you can continue with the same and without incurring any exchange loss or any transaction loss. Appreciation and markets, as I mentioned, we once we go into the secondary market, definitely there will be an appreciation in the token price, and they will be available on different exchanges. We are already in discussions with many, but we want to make sure that once we have the traction and people are coming in and they're getting the yields, then because our main focus is not basically secondary market based, but providing the yield from these real assets and tapping into the transformation, giving that yield to our investors. And at the same time, Infinity Vaults gives you the option of exiting anytime and walking away with the percentage of the yields. So this was a short, quick presentation on Cashets, and I hope it was, insightful for people. I'm sure there will be a lot of questions, but this is all about Cashets. And I think I'll just hand over to Claudia for this to go on now. Thank you.
Thank you, Danish. This was a great presentation and certainly gave us a very much of a better insight in how Cashets work and of course, what people can expect from it. Now, for all your listeners, there's going to be a Q&A coming up. It's not going to be this time because we really want to collect all the questions which people are having. So through social media and all the platforms, please send us your questions to support@utopianglobal.com. And you can also, of course, follow us on our Telegram. You can follow us on Twitter. You can follow us on LinkedIn. You can follow us on Discord. What else? Instagram, and send us our questions in, questions in. And we will have a Q&A session with Danish and with Bill Raul, our CEO of Utopian Global, and address all those questions and concerns regarding the Utopian Global Infinity Vault and Cashets. With that, again, I want to say thank you so much. Danish, this was a really great insight presentation, and I want to thank you all the listeners to come here and to spend, of course, their time to listen into this opportunity. So with that, thank you. Have all a blessed day.
I'm sorry, Claudia, just to add in the end, I'm sure, I might have missed some points, or there would be definitely a lot of questions. And it'll be great to have the transparency and people to understand what Cashets is, how it makes money, and exactly what is the strategies, because the strategies obviously follow some market mechanisms that we use in the financial world. So there might be some questions about the strategies or the underlying assets or something. Whatever it is, please throw it to us, and on the next session we can discuss and have all the answers, or whatever possible to actually answer at that time. So thank you so much. Sorry, Claudia, to disturb you.
All good. Thank you so much, and have all a blessed day. Thank you.
Thank you.